Good morning, everybody. This is Mike from the Last Corvette. So, wanted to make this video. Me being in automotive for 20 years, I don't have a crystal ball, because if we did, every vehicle, every launch would be perfect. But I wanted to look into two issues in automotive right now. So, first thing is first. Is people are reading these articles, people are, watching videos and news, whatever, right? And every manufacturer, specifically the big three, they're having major issues with new program launches, right? And everyone is like, well, why is that? Why are we having so many quality issues? Regardless if it's a fit, finish, design, tech issues, software issues, right? Why? Well, it's very easy to explain because I know the infrastructure. So you have to understand that for the last 10 years and the last 5 years, there's been a huge push because of our government. But the big three took all of the cream of the crop engineers, and they threw them onto the EV projects, EV vehicles, EV platforms. And then what happened is there was a shift, there was also a rehire, and all of your less experienced engineers are now working on ICE or gas-powered engines, gas-powered vehicles, and they're launching these vehicles, right? So there's a big disconnect, and I'm not going to take away anything from young engineers, but you can't take away years, decades of experience and shift it over onto a whole new platform and then expect these younger engineers, program managers, whatever they are, right, to know everything, right? Know the lessons learned and what to look for and how to properly launch vehicles. So yes, there's a lot of issues. They're working them out. You can look at the Ford Rangers, the new F150s. Same thing goes with GM. GM, they're having issues with their new Tahoes, their Terrains, Equinoxes. There's a lot of stuff going on. They're going to work it out. They're not major issues, but they're definitely holding up these new vehicles from being delivered to end users like us, right? And eventually, they'll get there. They'll work out the issues and get these vehicles onto the dealership lots. Now, the last one is the whole EV, right? Everyone is kind of looking at the EV market and saying, well, I think EVs are dead, this and that. There's been a lot of pushback from the consumers because of the infrastructure that I brought up many times before on different platforms, right? The nation itself is not ready. The infrastructure is not ready. We're working, we're improving it as far as the power grids. And then, of course, the charge sequence or the charge stations are not there, right? So for the big three and everyone else besides Tesla, these charge stations were privately owned, right? And these companies, these people, individuals can charge whatever they want per kilowatt hour, right? Essentially, as you're charging versus Tesla's. Tesla has a wide infrastructure, wide network of superchargers, and there was a shift where all manufacturers, including like electric EV manufacturers like Rivian, started making adapters, and obviously they've paid Tesla a lot of money to get onto their network. But what's going to happen is now, instead of just Teslas, you're going to see everyone else using their infrastructure. And Tesla kind of made a pushback towards, well, we're not going to expand the network just yet. We're gonna make it more efficient. So they've also shifted some people around, laid off people. So interesting, but it's not gonna solve anything. Like I said, yes, now you can go from A to Z instead of A to B with the big three EV vehicles, right? You can actually travel places, but like I said, those charge stations are going to be overloaded. Now the last one is the EV pickup trucks, the full-size trucks. GM is making EV Silverado, EV Sierra, full size. Trust me, the Hummer EV was basically a mule. We'll look at it as a prototype vehicle. Eventually, it's going to phase out, but the EVs will stay. Now, one thing that GM is doing is they're really taking their time to perfect what we currently have, the abilities and the extent of our technology, right? And if you look at the reviews, if you look at the videos and articles, they're exceeding and they're beating Rivian Cybertruck, Ford F-150 Lightning, not only on range, but also when it comes to towing capabilities. That's the biggest downfall of a full-size EV truck, right? If you buy it as just a big Tesla A to B vehicle, that's fine. But if you intend on buying a pickup truck to actually use it as a truck, that's a whole different story. And Ford was the first one to, release a full-size EV light-duty pickup truck, and their downfall was they made it on the F-150 platform, the cousin or the brother, the big brother, the gas-powered F-150. They beat everyone when it comes to the EV race, light-duty pickup truck race, but all right, so Ford was the first one to put out a full-on EV light-duty pickup truck, and they should have waited, right? It's one of those things where, yes, they beat everyone to the EV truck race, but it backfired to the point where they're cutting production, and I'll also tell you guys their next phase for the EV. They're not giving up on the Lightning just yet. If you look at the EV, the GM, right, the Silverado Sierra, as I stated before, the Hummer was kind of like the first prototype to figure out, what happens when you have a heavy vehicle, SUV, and, and then learn from that, and then build the Silverado and Sierra. Now, of course, if you look at the Silverado Sierra, they look completely different from the gas Silverados and Sierras of current generation. And the reason is because GM built those vehicles, those trucks, around EV, right? Around the EV platform, right? Like, so aerodynamic, lighter, better. And yes, they're beating everyone. They're beating, all of the EV trucks. Their towing is by far the best as far as the towing distance when you put load or weight behind the vehicle, behind the truck. So Ford's response to that is going to be a brand new platform, a Lightning platform that's going to be separate from their gas-powered Ford F-150, which makes total sense. So in sense, they're going to do the same thing that GM did, right? They're going to develop this from the ground up. I'm sure it's going to resemble a Ford F-150, just like the EV Silverado Sierra do. But it's going to be aerodynamic, and it's going to be much lighter. It's going to go further. And of course, they're going to focus in on towing. That's something that GM, like I said, is doing a lot of research and fine tuning right now to put a truck out there that's actually capable of being a truck. So we'll see how this new Ford Lightning comes together, but I guarantee you it's going to look a lot different than the current Ford F-150 Lightning.